Hey there, and welcome. I don't think it's random that this message found you. In fact, I believe you're hearing this at the exact time you were meant to. There's been a quiet tug in your spirit lately, asking for direction, and today, something finally answers: you're not lost. Actually, you're far too aware, too deeply tuned in to stay lost for long. What you're in right now isn't stuck, it's more like being suspended. You're in between chapters, caught between the last thing that made sense and the next thing that's going to shift everything. I know that space can feel brutal. Like holding your breath underwater, not knowing how close you are to the surface. But here's the truth: this pause, this strange stillness you're in, it's not a mistake. It's not a glitch in the system. It's a sacred lock. And it's not waiting for just any version of you to open it. It's waiting for you, the real you, to step forward. This next chapter of your life doesn't want the version of you that's still shrinking to fit where you no longer belong. It doesn't answer to desperation. It responds to presence. And that's why things aren't working the way they used to. The old panic buttons, they don't do anything anymore. The distractions you used to lean on to numb yourself, now they just feel irritating. Even the comforting routines you once relied on might suddenly feel empty, because here's the thing: you're not the same person anymore. And this moment you're standing in, it's not about rushing into what's next. It's about asking, can you stand inside the unknown without abandoning yourself just to escape the discomfort? But it's real. Because let's be honest, you've kept yourself together through nights when you had no one to call. You've walked through seasons of silence so loud they practically screamed. You've bent yourself into shapes the world demanded of you, until even your own reflection started to look like a stranger. But now you're here. Not broken. Not behind. But cracked open, and slowly, quietly, rebuilding, that ache you feel in your chest. That persistent whisper of "what am I missing?" It's not there to judge you. It's there to clear the noise. Because when the outside world stops offering direction, that's when the voice inside finally has space to speak. And it's been speaking all along. Right now, your life isn't calling for action, it's calling for intimacy. Not with others, with yourself, that frantic voice inside, the one urging you to do something, anything, just move. That's not intuition. That's a survival reflex. That's the part of you that learned to sprint toward clarity just so others wouldn't get anxious around your confusion. But your body? Your body knows better now. You felt it, haven't you? The cravings have shifted. The people you used to feel at home with, they might now feel heavy, even draining. The meals that used to comfort you just don't hit the same. It's like your body is rejecting anything that no longer matches the future it's preparing to carry. This isn't random. It's not just burnout. Your entire system is starting to shed the noise. You're becoming unavailable to chaos. It's not always found by thinking harder or researching more. Sometimes clarity arrives when we finally sit still long enough for the dust to settle. Like a glass of muddy water. Stir it, and everything's murky. Let it sit, and it becomes clear. That's what this moment is. It's a sacred stillness. A season of restoration that feels like restlessness. But don't mistake it for a timeout. This is an initiation. You're crossing a spiritual threshold, one that separates the old way of living from something completely new. And you've been preparing for this. Not with vision boards or long checklists, but with quiet choices made in dark rooms. Decisions no one saw you make. But they mattered. You might not realize it yet, but this chapter that feels so empty is actually shaping you. It's softening the parts of you that got too sharp from surviving. It's preparing you for what's coming, because what's next won't require you to perform, it will ask for your presence. You're not being punished. You're being aligned. This isn't the universe forgetting about you. This is God, or something greater, getting every little detail just right, so that when your moment finally comes, it doesn't just feel right. It feels inevitable. So don't misinterpret this quiet space. Don't rush to label it as failure. This is the breath before the breakthrough. And it won't ask if you're ready. It will ask if you remember who you are, because when the next moment comes, and it won't whisper. It'll knock. Hard. And even though it might catch you off guard, some part of you will recognize it. Some part of you has been waiting for it. One day, out of nowhere, you'll get the message. The offer. The moment. You'll hear a sentence, maybe from a friend, a stranger, a podcast, and something inside you will rearrange itself, and it won't wait for your permission. It will demand your full participation. Not the polished version of you, not the together you, but the real one, the one who's honest. Raw, whole. That's why this pause matters, that's why this silence has lasted longer than you thought it would, because you're not being punished, you're being prepared to stop choosing from fear. Prepared to recognize peace not as some rare reward, but as your compass. Prepared to know yourself deeply enough that when life hands you options, you don't ask what looks right. You ask, what feels like me? This stillness? It's not rejection. It's stripping away what you don't need anymore. Old beliefs, outdated roles, masks you didn't even realize you were still wearing. Because you can't carry the noise of your past into a future this intentional, you've probably noticed it's getting harder to be in certain rooms. Some places feel heavy. Some feel light. That's not you being sensitive in a bad way. That's your energy getting smarter, you're waking up to the difference between what expands you and what shrinks you. This isn't fragility. This is energetic intelligence, and it's one of your greatest strengths now, and that's where we'll pause for now. Energetic intelligence means knowing, really knowing, when something no longer fits. Even if it once did. Even if you wanted it for a long time, and yeah, that can feel confusing. Because sometimes we confuse desire with alignment. We think, but I worked so hard for this. I prayed for this. I wanted this so badly. And maybe you did. But just because something once matched your past doesn't mean it still fits your future. That's what this season is revealing. Your nervous system has probably been louder than usual. Maybe your chest feels tight for no obvious reason. Maybe you've been sleeping poorly, or having strange dreams. Maybe certain conversations leave you drained, even if nothing dramatic is being said. That's your internal compass recalibrating. Your body is no longer letting you betray your truth without consequence. You used to run on survival. On compliance. On keeping the peace. You learned to be digestible, agreeable, easy to be around, even when it came at the expense of your own needs, but that doesn't work anymore. You're being rewired, and yeah, the discomfort you're feeling. That low-grade, hard-to-name ache. It's the version of you who learned to survive, now being asked to let go. It's the old patterns being pulled out by the root. And that process is rarely comfortable, but it's necessary. You're shedding every version of yourself that made peace with being half seen. You're done with shrinking. You're done with trying to squeeze into roles that no longer resonate. So if you're wondering why the clarity hasn't arrived yet, maybe it's because you've been looking for it in all the old places. External answers. Signs. Loud confirmations. But clarity isn't coming from out there anymore, it's coming from the clouds. It's the quiet way your body exhales when something's right. It's the tight pull in your chest when something isn't. It's how your energy reacts when no one's watching. That's your new compass, so when the decision comes, and yes, it will come, you won't choose based on fear. You'll choose based on resonance, and resonance. It's subtle but unshakable. It doesn't raise its voice to convince you. It waits. Calmly. For you to meet it, that's what this stillness is doing. It's tuning you. So when the next chapter finally arrives, you don't hesitate. You don't need to pull 5 friends or wait for signs. You'll just know, not because it makes perfect sense on paper, but because something in you will say, yes. This is it. And that's the point. It's not about making the perfect choice. It's about becoming the kind of person who trusts themselves enough not to be talked out of what they know. You've already done the healing. You've done the hard inner work. You've asked the big questions. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're just being invited to sit in the silence long enough to remember what you asked for, and you did ask for this. For truth. For a life that didn't just look good on the outside, but felt right in your bones. You asked for purpose. For authenticity. For peace that doesn't require performance, and now. Now you're standing right on the edge of it, you're in that sacred space between inhale and exhale. The moment before everything clicks. And I know, it can feel endless. Like you're just stuck in some weird emotional limbo. But it's not a void. It's a beginning, everything you've asked for is being arranged. But it's not going to crash into your life through noise. It's going to arrive through stillness, that's why this pause is so important. It's not random. It's not a mistake. It's an anointing, this is the moment you choose not to shrink while you wait. This is the moment you stop reaching for distractions just to avoid discomfort. This is the moment you say, even in the silence, I am still worthy. Even in the pause, I am still whole. Because when it arrives, and it will, it's not going to creep in slowly. It's going to come with force. With acceleration. Like the ground rising up to meet your next step, and you'll move. Not because you were pushed. Not because someone else gave you permission. But because something inside you will say, this is mine. And that inner yes. That's the only confirmation you have to stop drowning it out, you have to let yourself feel the quiet. You have to resist the urge to fill every moment. You have to sit in the uncomfortable stillness and trust that even if nothing seems to be changing on the outside, everything is changing on the inside, because that's what's really happening here, you're changing. Your energy is shifting. Your values are realigning. Your standards are rising. You're learning to stay with yourself. To honor what your body feels. To move only when it feels true, and that kind of transformation. It takes space. It takes silence. It takes patience, it asks you to stop performing clarity for other people and actually get clear within yourself. So yes, this part of the journey is hard. It feels slow. It feels like you're floating in between, waiting for something solid to land on, but what you're building now isn't just the next step. It's the foundation for everything that comes after, because when the right moment shows up, and it will, you won't need to scramble. You won't need to prepare. You'll already be the person who's ready to receive it. Not because you chased it, but because it fits you like a key in a lock. It will feel natural, grounded, undeniable, but to get there, you have to stop grasping. You have to stop reaching for every passing possibility just to escape the tension of the unknown, you have to trust that nothing meant for you is being withheld. It's just being prepared. Fine-tuned. So when it arrives, it meets the version of you who's no longer trying to be liked, or chosen, or validated, but who is simply ready, ready not to react. Ready not to prove anything. Ready to remember, so don't mistake this quiet for emptiness, it's not emptiness. It's the prelude to fulfillment, it's not delay. It's design, the kind that ensures that when the moment comes, you don't miss it. You don't question it. You don't run from it, you rise to meet it, this is the shift you put into words. The one that made it hard to pretend, hard to keep up the old roles, hard to smile through environments that feel heavier than they used to. And no, you're not imagining it. You're becoming more sensitive, not in a fragile way, but in an intelligent way. Energetic intelligence, you're not just seeing things differently. You're feeling them differently. You're starting to notice how your body responds in real time, how it tightens around misalignment, how it opens around truth. That's not weakness. That's wisdom waking up inside you, you're being shown, through your own reactions, what expands you and what contracts you. What gives you energy and what drains it. What feels like home. And what just feels familiar, because here's the thing, familiarity and alignment aren't the same. Sometimes, we stay close to what's familiar just because it's predictable, even when it's slowly eroding us. But you're done with that, this version of you. They can't unknow what they know now. You can't unfeel the clarity your body keeps offering you. And that knowing? It's becoming louder than the fear. It's becoming stronger than the old pull to conform. You're not here to be digestible, you're not here to keep everyone else comfortable while you quietly abandon yourself. Your tolerance for chaos is getting lower. Your desire to impress people is fading. You're losing the energy to explain yourself to those who never really tried to understand you in the first place. That's not disconnection. That's refinement. You're being refined, stripped back to your essential self. The self you were before the world taught you to doubt your instincts. The self you were before your authenticity got edited to make others feel more at ease, so yes, it's uncomfortable. Growth always is. That's why it's called a transition. But this isn't a breakdown. It's a becoming. You're being prepared, not punished, prepared to make decisions not from fear, but from inner knowing. To stop asking, what should I do? And start asking, what actually feels true for me? That question alone changes everything, because when the time comes, and it won't be some dramatic fork in the road. It might be subtle. A text. A phrase. A glance. A job offer. An idea you can't shake. And it'll hit you in your gut, like, that's it. It won't ask you if you're ready, it will ask if you remember of this season. Not doing more. Not figuring it all out. Just remembering. Remembering what you value. Remembering what you're no longer willing to carry. Remembering the version of yourself that existed before you were shaped by survival, and when the opportunity shows up. It won't wait for you to feel perfectly prepared. It won't check to see if your resume is polished. It will demand your participation, not the performative, curated version of you. The real you. The honest, unfiltered, whole you. That's why this pause is so sacred. It's not about wasting time. It's about rerouting. Realigning. Learning to trust your own timing so deeply that you stop rushing the process just to escape the discomfort. Because discomfort is part of it, the silence isn't here to punish you. It's here to show you where the noise was never serving you in the first place. This space between what was and what will be is asking you to stop outsourcing your direction. To stop crowdsourcing your worth. To stop assuming that just because you feel uncertain, something must be wrong. Uncertainty doesn't mean you're off track. It means you're no longer real pretending. Clarity, the kind that changes lives, doesn't always arrive with trumpets and neon signs. Sometimes, it's just a quiet shift inside you. A moment where you realize, I'm not willing to betray myself anymore. That realization. That's your turning point, and from here, everything changes, not because the outside world suddenly shifts, but because you do. You stop settling. You stop begging life to make sense. You stop trying to control the timing of your growth. You start to let it unfold, messy, imperfect, and wildly powerful. You become someone who no longer waits for confirmation, you become your own, and that's what this whole season has been about. The moments when you thought nothing was happening. They were making you stronger. The days when you felt invisible. They were building your vision. The nights when you cried quietly so no one would worry. They were clearing space for something more honest, and now, you're here, still standing. Still growing. Still listening. And maybe, for the first time in a long time, actually hearing yourself. Not a new job, not a sudden windfall, not even a relationship or milestone. The breakthrough is you, remembering that you're allowed to trust yourself. That your inner voice isn't something you have to earn, it's something you are. So, breathe, really breathe, let this be the moment you stop fighting the stillness. Let it be the moment you realize that even in the absence of certainty, you're not lost. You're in motion. Quiet, invisible motion. The kind that rearranges everything before anything changes on the surface, the kind of motion that comes not from chasing, but from becoming. You are becoming. Fully. Honestly. Unapologetically, and when the world asks who you are now, you won't need to explain, you'll just be it. Thank you for walking through this with me. If this message landed for you, if it stirred something in you, I'd love it if you liked this video, shared it with someone who needs it, or subscribed to stay in this space together. This journey doesn't end here, it's only unfolding, so if you're ready, choose one of the videos on your screen that feels aligned with where you are. Follow your resonance, your yes, I'll see you there.